Welcome to the SciFi Pubcast. Come for a drink, but stay for the speculation. We're talking Neil Gaiman and the new Netflix series The Sandman with one of our customers, Mike Sinkins. So grab a pint of best bitter. This is the SciFi Pubcast. Greetings, welcome to the SciFi Pubcast, the podcast that tries to be a pub, and perhaps someday a pub that tries to be a podcast. As always, we are looking for customers to come visit our bars. So if you're passionate about something and you want to be on a podcast, well, let us know, because this bar is all about community. If you want to help us out, please consider, leaving a 5-star review wherever you find the show and subscribing to our YouTube channel. My name is Joel. I'm the owner of the SciFi Pubcast, so to speak. And today, well, we have our dedicated cast members. No, that's pretty funny, actually. Dedicated staff members.
Did Disney buy us out already?
Gary Simpson and Derek Beebe. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
And we also have a special customer, right? We have Mike Sinkins, who was on last year on our Andromeda Strain film review, or discussion, I should say. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Joel. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, great. So let's see. Firstly, let me say this. We're going to be talking about The Sandman, the Netflix season 1 series of 10 episodes. I've seen them all. I believe Carrie and Dick has seen all of the TV episodes. Mike has only seen up to episode 7, but he's read the comics. I read the comics way back in the 90s when they came out, I've killed a lot of brain cells since then, so I'm probably aware, but not too aware of what's happening in possible later seasons. So we might be talking spoilers, but we're trying not to talk spoilers from the comics. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Full disclosure, I haven't actually read the comics, but I listened to the audio dramas, which are up to Act 2. I think Act 3 is coming at some point.
Perfect. But before we talk about this whole, Neil Gaiman and the Sandman and things like that, let me ask my staff members and my customers about themselves, because that's what we do. We're a bar. We just want to check in every so often. So let's start with Carrie. Carrie, how's life in Southern California?
Life in Southern California is really hot. It's up in the 90s, and it's very humid for LA by LA standards. I know I have at least one East Coaster on the call tonight, so you Derek is probably gonna laugh in my face if I mention that it's really humid. But like I said, it's humid for LA.
Oh wow! Oh God! Well, stay cold or cooler, at least something like that. Yeah. What's the feeling?
I'll try.
Okay, don't die. Okay. And then we have Derek from the frontier lands of the mountains of Pennsylvania. How you doing, Derek?
I'm pretty good. I made a major life decision today. I bought a new dishwasher. The old one's been broken for 8 years, so I figured it was finally time to pull the trigger.
Oh, right. So what we've been doing for the last 8 years?
Yeah. I have been eating off of paper plates and not cooking anything.
Oh, that's great for the environment. And yes, by the way, we do have a black cat wandering around, which is not a joke, actually. It's real. His name is Nigel. He's had some name changes in last year. He's a year and a half male, and he's very curious, and he likes both myself and Mike. I'm recording in the same room as our customer, Mike Sinkins. But before we talk about Mike, Derek, how is our kitchen doing?
Well, I'll have you know, I've actually been doing a bit of spring cleaning. That horrible black gunk that's been at the bottom of the sinks forever, and no matter how much I clean it, it can never get off. Well, I bought some steel wool and went at it for about an hour, and it came right off. It was like magic. It was amazing. On the other hand, I do have bunches of small cuts all over my fingers now. I guess I should have worn gloves when I was doing that. So the food may taste a little irony for the next week or so, but I'm so glad those stains are finally gone.
Irony. Great. Just make sure you fill out a health and safety report, okay?
Which neither of us will actually read. We don't have to go. I think we've all learned not to go in the kitchen at all.
Yeah.
You feed those right into the shredder, right?
Yeah. I don't like to micromanage, so I just don't manage at all, right? So. Okay. Anyway, and we have, of course, Mike. Mike, how would you describe yourself, sir?
Kind of quiet, and just trying to keep balance in my life. And thankfully, my building has turned that way just recently, so it's been good.
Yeah, good.
And good living space now.
Yeah, you're not a podcaster per se, but you are knowledgeable about film. I know you have a huge Blu-ray Criterion collection.
Yeah, I have a bit of a Criterion, like I'd say probably about 100 discs, and most it's a mix of a lot of others like Kino Lorber and Arrow. I don't know the whole tally of everything, but
So, yeah, well, what do you think of the science fiction genre? Because we're a science fiction show, loosely.
I think it has a lot of expanding thoughts and processes. I've always thought was more interesting than just your regular stories. They can get into really deep philosophical elements, and more so than just the early days when it was just shoot 'em up and just have the girl saved or something. It's gotten much more deep.
Yeah, I think with science fiction, no longer is it just the Western genre, from the 1900s and the early 20th century.
That's true,
In
yeah.
space, it's very much developed in its own genre, not just hard science fiction, but as a way to speculate about the future in terms of technological advancement, but also philosophical ideas, and actually ask the big questions, namely, what does it mean to be human and to experience a human experience?
Absolutely.
How many times can I say experience? Any which way, Joel update.
Are we counting?
Yeah, exactly. Joel update. So I'm getting ramped up to go back and do some coursework to work on my PhD in law under the tutelage of Professor Randall Graham. Oh, by the way, if you're on Wikipedia, you should type his name in and see what pops up. Just saying. And there's that. But what else is there? I've been working at the bar, another bar for real, the student bar, the graduate student bar at Western University. So I've been busy with that. And I've been trying to stay sober for the most part and failing miserably. But today is a new day, so there's that. Our dear customers, you're not here to listen about us blob on about our lives so much. But let's see. It took more than 30 years in the making, but we finally got a live-action Sandman series based on Neil Gaiman's Sandman comics. Now, the big picture question today is it a dream or is it a nightmare? Let's not sleep on it, shall we? Any which way, who wants to go first? Who has strong feelings?
I mean, I love the show. I like I said, I've never actually read the comics, but I've listened to Acts 1 and 2 of the Sandman audio drama, and I think they're, according to a tweet back in July, Neil said they're almost done with Act 3 at the moment. So I highly recommend that you guys checking that out if you want more Sandman. That's actually more of a direct translation of the story, so it's set back in the 80s and 90s, as opposed to how they kind of updated some aspects of the TV show to be more for today's audience.
Excellent. And you can get it online, I suspect, as an audiobook?
Yeah.
Right.
Look
Okay.
at Sandman, the Sandman Act 1 and 2. It's on Audible. James McAvoy plays Dream. Kat Denning is Death. And, the cast is just insane.
It's a cast to dream for?
Yes. Yes. Thank
Great.
you.
Anytime.
Now, when you say Act 1, 2, 3, does that mean that Act 3 is the end of the comic book series?
I think so.
Okay, cool. I know my experience is when I was a pimple-face high school student in Niagara Falls, Ontario growing up, I used to go down to the comic book shop during lunch hour during high school, and it was back in the day when you had a car when you were 16 and could drive by yourself or drive with friends. And before I started to go to the bars when I was 17, maybe it was 16. Yeah, it was any which way. There's a comic book. It's Lundy's Lane in Niagara Falls. I used to go to the comic book store, and one of the comics I collected was Sandman. Mind you, I got into the game late. I think I started when it's 50 through 60 or 70. I have some behind me, so I just love the style. I love how unique it is, being dark and gothic and mythic, and the fact that it contrasts sharply with other types of comics during the time period, especially from DC. especially being in like 16, 17, 18 years old, I was really interested in big picture questions, like from a philosophical point of view. But also, I want to be an adult. So I want to be serious. So death, sex, what happens to us after we die, power, all that stuff. Yeah, that really, the lack of a better phrase, really turned me on back then. Mike, how did you come by The Sandman?
It was through Prisoners of Gravity, that TV show that used to be on TVO, and that's where I first it was introduced to me. And so my late mother, mom, she really got into it, and it was through her that actually got me into comics because she wanted to bring back her childhood. So it was just a kind of a combination between us, and so she read it before she passed away again. And but I sort of kept them. I wanted to get rid of all my collection and her collection as well, just because of time and space. But it was she actually influenced me on getting the Sandman, and I read the whole thing and went through a personal experience with it, and I'm so glad that they're doing a show, and it just encapsulates it all again.
When you say a personal experience, Mike, you mean you had like dreams about it, or what?
A little bit, yeah. Like certain things would attach, like in your psyche, and I think that's what hit me the most.
Yeah, good. I think Neil Gaiman, and he's known for this, he latches on to a lot of things that Joseph Campbell was on about in the Hair with 1,000 Faces, and George Lucas used as a way to influence the writing of Star Wars, the original, so The New Hope. The fact of the matter that you have these archetypes that spin through lots of different folk stories and myths and legends and even religious texts, and from multiple cultures through multiple time periods. Yet there's something that kind of unites us as humanity, and perhaps it's our shared experience, and perhaps the reason why we and I'm talking in a general way as a species, latches on to these big cosmic universal, and I mean universal in two ways, right? Universal because it's big, and universal because we have a shared experience of these stories, and Sandman is a great example of it. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm talking on my ass right now?
No. I think you're. I think you're
hit
onto
it on
something.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. So that's the show. Our next episode is in 2 weeks' time. No. But
But wait, you didn't ask me yet.
I am because I know you're not the one who wasn't very fond of Sandman and never read the comics, Derek. So
Yes,
yeah.
I am a complete neophyte to this show. I never read the comic. It was one of the few holes in my greatest comics of all time read list. I did start reading it right before the show started, so I got a little bit of background before watching the show. And it's not really for me. It's a little too esoteric. I don't really like anthologies, but I certainly understand intellectually why it's a well-made story and everything, but it's not really my bag.
That's fair. When you say you're in the bag, have you watched anything in a similar vein as the Sandman? Like John Constantine or anything like that, or even Lucifer, which is a very different show, the TV show.
Lucifer is fabulous.
It's fabulous, but the feel, the vibes, is so different, and it's from the same universe. Yeah.
I briefly started watching the Lucifer TV show, but I only saw the first few episodes of it. I do intend to go back and watch it one day. I mean, it's not that it was a bad show. It's just, there's so much TV out now.
Well, listen, I get that, and you're right. This is not for everyone. I know our friend Render Graham. Just very quickly, I don't think he's a huge fan of this, but it touches people in certain ways and others not so much, and that's art. Art is imperfect.
I'm definitely interested in hearing from people who do have a deep connection and appreciation for the show, because I don't really get it myself, so I would be interested in being educated in why it's so wonderful.
Yeah, I think it just, for me anyway, it's like it's about life and how we do you go to sleep and you come back into this reality? Is it starting to blend, or sometimes it feels like that. That's what I'm feeling right now. But if you don't have those sort of experiences, it can be stale or something. But I don't know. It's everyone's different, and that makes it beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, I think part of it is because we don't know what dreaming is all about from a scientific point of view. We have some ideas, at least scientists have some ideas, but there's a lot of unknowns. Like, why do we dream? Yeah, to rest our bodies and our brain, and as biochemistry functions in the body. And I'm not going to pretend to know what I'm talking about right now. But the body needs to sleep, obviously. And people who don't sleep tend to die young. They've done studies on this stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I sleep 12 hours a day. No, this is why I want to sleep 12 hours a day. Another story. But it's dreaming. And like, I dream a lot. And I generally don't remember my dreams. But I swear to God, every single night I'll have at least one anxiety dream. It's some sort of thing, a mission or a task that I'm trying to solve, and it's just a series of obstacles, usually involving like mazes or buildings or going through doors or something along those lines, right? And that tells, speaks to what's going on in my head. And some days not. Some days it's like I haven't had a dream yet where I'm sitting on the beach drinking a Corona and having the time of my life. That hasn't happened yet, at least in the dreaming world. It has in the waking world, right?
Exactly.
Do you guys think that Dream/Morpheus is an interesting character? Because that's part of my problem with the show. I just feel like this guy who is our main character has no personality or life to him, or I don't know. I just find like nothing interesting about him as a character, and the acting is very wooden, although I'll admit that that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's a good point.
Well, let me say this. I think if we're talking about humanity, like us, like we mature and we change our character quickly in a matter of months or years, not decades, and especially not centuries or thousands of years. So in terms of, say, Joel Welch, me, as a character, I'm a real person, mind you, but saying that, I've changed the way I look at life and at things throughout my entire life, because every day is a learning experience for me. At least that's how I try to live my life. If you're the Sandman or Lord Morpheus, well, what's a year or two? What's a lifetime? He's endless. He's immortal for the most part, right? So it takes him thousands and thousands of years to get his shit together, to actually learn something, and instead of being an egotistical, self-centered asshole with mission and being mission-driven, because he's the lord of the dreams, and the dreams plays a function to keep humanity on the plan, so-called, that hopefully someone else set up. In this case, I think it's God, or whoever God means in the Neil Gaiman's universe. What do you guys think?
Which is why you have the whole episode of and I think it's also and it's also a comic book issue. It's also in the audio drama of Death calling Dream on his shit.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and you see that contrasted with like my favorite character in the TV show, at least, is Hob Gadling.
Yeah, that's right.
At one point in 1789, Hob was bold enough to say that we meet every 100 years because I'm your friend. We're looking for companionship, and Dream did not like that. And spoiler alert, by the end of season 1, he came back around and realized, yeah, I was wrong. He was wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Imagine if we could live like Hob Gadling, where we could never die, but we can be injured and captured. It'd be great, but also terrifying.
Yes, definitely.
That's actually one of the major characters in my novels. He's an immortal who can never die, but that also means that he can never escape captivity either, except if anyone ever captured him and tortured him.
Yeah, I forgot it was a movie or TV show from a couple years ago on one of the streaming services. I forgot. It's Charlie Theron. She was in Furry Word, Mad Max.
The Old Guard.
Yeah, the Old Guard. That right. And put someone in an Iron Maiden and toss them in the on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. What a way to and still be alive, right? Oh, wow. Well, that's writing. Just going back to Hob Gadling, going back to the two with Joseph Campbell and the Power of Myths and Neil Gaiman's operational procedure, right? He's all about these archetypes. And Hob Gadling, and I actually didn't recognize that because I've been busy, but he is very much the wandering Jew, which is actually deeply entrenched in different folklore where someone is basically cannot die and then wanders around usually in Northern Europe for hundreds and hundreds of years. And to me, that's an interesting take because okay, there's a medieval history to this. That's fascinating.
But he also points out that he's not actually Jewish, which makes it kind of ironic in a way.
Yeah, and that's neat too. So it's not we're not even playing with identities and cultures or tribes. We're dealing with base human experience, i.e., living versus dying. And I remember as a child telling my mom, like I must have been 8 years old at the time, saying, "Yeah, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to opt into that. I'm just going to live forever." Yeah, see that happens. Mike, got anything?
Yeah, I just as for the Sandman, I think it's because he's an eternal being. He's kind of like he has to be like he doesn't interact with a lot of people, only in dreams in that state. But when he comes to reality, or it kind of I think it at the beginning it starts to he starts to get he was a little bit more standoffish, but then when he starts with Hobb, he understands human emotions and of his own inability to be immortal. So it could be experiences between the two. I just find it fascinating where it kind of leads into his own sort of change.
Well, I mean, Neil and Terry Pratchett also, and Douglas Adams, like they all have this very, very interesting way of writing godlike characters that are flawed, and they either come to understand that they are flawed, or they already know that they are flawed, and they know that they are not the perfect and omnipotent beings that we mortals think that they are.
Yeah, which is interesting in the sense too that for most of human history we had gods, personalization of gods. It wasn't the whole Christian God or the Islamic God who's perfect in all ways and omnipresent and all knowledgeable. Sorry, I'm stuttering right badly, but that's a change in the way religion has worked in the last 1,000 years. But human history goes far beyond that.
That's right.
Yeah. What else is there? Let's see. To me, the opening episode with the CGI. No, it's a thing with me. I have to say good things about CGI because I once said something bad about
gorgeous.
CGI on a episode of the Crash Couch, which is a Crash Expense podcast, which I was on previously. So CGI, this is amazing. I love the fact.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's
The show definitely had good production values. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it was worth the 30 years wait so that they could produce this TV series now, where the technology is where it should be at to have such great CGI, say versus 30 years ago, where it would probably be puppets?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I think I would have preferred a Muppet version, but aside from that, yeah.
I said puppet, not Muppet, but that'd be great too.
Now Kermit the Frog as Morpheus, that would have been an interesting character.
Oh god. Well, yeah, I got the Cain and Abel duel going on there, right? So that could be the two old guys in the.
Oh yeah, Waldorf and Statler.
Yeah.
That would have been perfect. This Piggy could have been Lucifer.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I think. I mean, other than the fact that the character's supposed to be androgynous, I think Piggy would probably be Desire.
Yeah, true.
And the in the band, in the Electric Teeth band, that hippie woman could have been Death.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
But who's gonna play Animal? Come on. Okay. All right, enough of
Animal
that.
could be the Corinthian.
Okay.
I have a hard time picturing Animal as a serial killer, but okay.
So you mentioned gender, like fluidity. What do you all make about the different updates to different genders in terms of the characters, or at least the actors here in the series?
Oh, you mean for like Lucifer and Constantine? I loved it. I loved it. The casting was great. I was totally on board.
Yeah, I think it worked, and I think it worked better. And what's again trying to find the woman's Gwendolyn Christie. Yes, I know she was in Star Wars and Game of Thrones, but I think she was perfectly cast as Lucifer Morningstar, as
she was
as a
so
jerk
good.
Lucifer Morningstar, not the lovable jerk of Lucifer, which we see in the TV show Lucifer, which is completely different. But still, I think she did a
I
great
thought
job.
she was very polite in the show. She wasn't a jerk.
Yeah, okay. She was a polite, well-spoken, articulated, not very good, endless person. Oh, how's that? What's your favorite characters? Any guys? Anyone has any selection? Mike, what do you think?
I love Lucienne. Lucienne was fabulous, and Patton Oswalt as Matthew was just.
Oh, yeah.
And then and of course Dream. I love the interactions between Dream and Death. Those were awesome.
Yeah, I do have a question. What's the difference between a crow and a raven? I know I can probably Google it, but I'm sure.
Ravens are usually bigger, I think.
It's okay. Something to think about. Yeah, this is gonna be my homework for tonight to figure out what's the
I
difference.
think ravens
probably-
are the more intelligent ones.
Oh, yeah.
I'm probably talking out of my ass about that, but yeah.
Mike, did you have a favorite character?
Yeah, I think Marv, I just saw him, so I kind of like his sort of, it's sort of a jokester kind of pumpkin head. When I was reading him in the books, they hit him right on the knot on that one.
And you know who voiced him, right?
No,
Yep.
Yep.
Another
Hamill.
Star Wars alumni. Apparently, he was in some major Star Wars movies. Yeah, Mark Hamill, of course.
Right.
Who has a history of doing voiceovers for the last 20 odd years, and some of the best voiceovers
More than
in
20 odd years.
30 years, something like that. Anyway, Trey, it was great. Okay,
Yes.
Derek, do you have a favorite person?
Yeah, my favorite character by far was Death. I thought that was a very interesting characterization, and the actress was good. That by far was my favorite episode. That was the one episode that I thought really worked on all levels. And it was kind of 2 episodes in one. The first half was the issue with Death, and then the second half was the issue with the immortal guy.
Yeah.
And I thought they both worked together well. That was definitely my favorite episode of the entire series. I was very disappointed that Death was only in the one episode because I thought she
she'll
was.
be back.
Yeah, I know, but I thought she was the most interesting character by far because I love the idea of the Reaper of Death being this very kind, cool, chill, sympathetic Zen person who just kind of shows up and is kind of like your friend and walks you through. Yet she's also, like killing babies and taking them away from their mother at the same time. I thought that was a really fascinating dichotomy. And
Well, she's not killing them.
Yeah, I
They're
know. They're
dying on their
and
own,
she's just the
but she's
ferryman,
helping them.
Yeah.
And she's a very busy person. That's why she's only in the one episode. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to dying if she's going to show up. Just saying.
Yeah.
And we didn't see much of her, but Desire was the David Bowie character, right? Desire.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Desire,
Okay.
yes,
He
they were
or
awesome.
she was a
They.
very interesting character. I haven't read much of her in the comic books, so I'm not terribly familiar with it, but that was a very interesting kind of like setting up future villain story.
Yeah. You can tell you're not out of University campus with the pronouns, but okay. Generational differences. Anyway, Trey, the whole Desire is interesting. That's because she can go back and forth between the different genders and use it oppressively and abusively.
Well, I mean, Neil intentionally wrote Desire to be androgynous, so they can go back and forth, or just be neither or both, or whatever they want to be. Just based on how they've cast the Endless so far, I am really looking forward to what they do with Destiny and Delirium.
Yeah.
Hopefully for next season.
Oh yeah, I think we all see the entire Endless dysfunctional family at play, or at war.
Yeah.
More than play, but still, Then of course we have Despair was there, which was depressing and despairing. But she's on point. She's on brand. Or the Endless is on brand.
yes.
There you go.
Good adaptation,
Yeah. What else? I know we have this whole gargoyle business, and I know a few people don't like the fact that the gargoyle Gregory was killed and then ultimately replaced by the new baby gargoyle Goldie, and this gargoyle, both of them were pets of Cain and Abel. And I'm not sure. I know some people don't, and by some people we know on this podcast, just do not like the idea of killing pets in fiction, and I can see that. I mean, there's certainly things that I don't particularly like in my fiction, and it is a turnoff, and this is a big turnoff for the person. So,
Another reason that Morpheus Dream is kind of a unlikable protagonist in this story.
Well, yeah. I mean, he didn't necessarily like doing it. I think, which is why I think he left Goldie with Cain and Abel. But I mean, it was unfortunately necessary for him to get his power back.
And the other thing,
to rebuild the dreaming.
Yeah, the other thing is that are dreams real? Do these entities that exist in the dreaming world, do they exist in the same level as, say, the waking world? And I think in this is yes, because we saw some crossovers and some blending because of the vortex. But it's an interesting juxtaposition. Whereas, say, the gargoyle, it's make believe in the sense that the Sandman created it. Oh, is it? Just because someone believes in it, does that make it real? So you have this whole Tauntum? What David Lynch's stuff? Personalization of something that you will it into existence. Yeah. Totem, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which is really interesting. So you can really dig down on this stuff. You can do a PhD probably on this entire comic book series at least. And
I'm sure you could.
Yeah. Well, that would be depressing. No.
What did you guys think of now when he goes to hell and meets Lucifer? I did like the character of Lucifer. I thought it was an interesting version of the devil and a good performance. I didn't really like the events of the episode, though. I was kind of excited, like, oh, going to hell, this is going to be big and epic. And, I mean, there's certainly nice big CGI sets, but I don't know, the whole duel of saying, like, I'm a snake, I'm a bird, that just really did not work at all for me. What did you guys think of that?
For me, I did have a little bit of a problem with that. I agree, but I don't know if that's I can't remember if it was in the books.
It is in the comic. That's exactly the way it is in the comic, and I didn't like it there either.
That was probably one of the few things that it was kind of like it just kind of rubbed me a little bit. But I think the performance of Lucifer is pretty good, and it's the classical sense of a Lucifer, unlike the devil. Kind of with the red horns and tail and everything. It's more Renaissance, basically. And I didn't mind that at all.
I actually quite enjoyed it. I like that battle of wits as opposed to a physical, violent encounter.
Yeah, I like that.
And it makes me kind of want to cheer for Lucifer in season 2 if we get a season 2. Who's with me? Who's pro Lucifer? Anyone?
I mean, I've listened to the audiobooks. I know what's going to happen.
I live in America, so I'm definitely not don't feel safe saying that on a podcast.
Hey, everyone can be redeemed, even Lucifer. Okay, come on. All right. Yeah, it's odd how they Gaiman originally blur the stories from the Old Testament or the Torah with folklore. You have Cain and Abel, right? Okay, as characters, and the whole one being murdered by the other on a daily basis, yet they somehow still love each other. Wow, yeah. That's biblical in more than one way, right?
Well, I know, and this is not really spoiler territory, really, but I mean, I know that Eve is going to make an appearance at some point. The Norse gods are going to make an appearance at some point. Other gods are going to make an appearance. More demons are going to show up that are demons that have been named throughout mythology and stuff like that. So that's going to be interesting to see.
But are we going to get more bar scenes? I like the pub scenes a lot. Yeah, I'm pro pub, pro bar. Yeah,
I hope so.
So
do we really want a season 2? Because I do. I think it's great.
Oh yeah, I totally want a season 2.
Hey, I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes, even if I wasn't wildly crazy about it.
Nah, that's cool.
Oh, that reminds me. So we basically kind of had well, it was really two major arcs with the death episode sandwiched in between them. What did you guys think of the opening storyline about him getting his 3 relics back, and then the second storyline about Rose Walker and the Corinthian? What did you think of, like the first compared to the second?
I thought it was pretty good. I think it's flowing pretty well that way, and it's sort of interlinked a little bit. So I enjoyed it, but it didn't like it's not too chaotic as well. So I think the pacing is really good.
I want to say thank you for stopping the first story arc after about 4 or 5 episodes, because the 3 objects, that's an easy way to write. But it does get tedious, in my opinion, especially if it's a 10-episode arc. Mm-hmm. It's like, just find the fucking object, please. Anything. Hell, I'll mail it to him. I'll buy it off of eBay just to get the storyline going, right? But for the first couple episodes, it actually works because it shows the weakness of Lord Morpheus, and the fact how does his magic work, or how does his powers work.
Mm-hmm. I also like that they're dropping hints of stuff in early episodes that are going to be factors later. So again, problem with having not read the comics, the Corinthian shows up earlier than he does in the audio drama and stuff like that. So it's like they're dropping like little hints of and weaving a little more interconnectivity into the storyline than it felt like, at least in the audiobook.
And I think that was effective using Constantine. Oh, what's his name? The guy you just met. Yeah, Constantine.
Yeah, apparently that's the official explanation, even though every single other DC property just says Constantine.
Yeah, but any which way, you start watching this TV, and most people who watched it on Netflix haven't read the audiobook, or haven't read the comic books, or listened to the audiobooks, right? Mm-hmm. So this guy is the villain? He must be the villain because he's a mass murderer and he has teeth for eyes, right? But really, he's a straw man per se, because he's not the big baddie. The big baddie is still later on, which we find out in episode 10. And is hinted throughout the series, right? Which is, spoiler alert, Desire.
I don't know that Desire is actually a villain. They're more of the antagonist. They and Desire, and not Desire. They and Despair are trying to mess with Dream.
Yeah, because by dreaming, and I'm stealing this from Ryan Avery over at Screen Crush on his YouTube video. But he makes the point that dreaming is always about hope. You can dream your own world, which is the opposite of desire. Desire is basically desiring something which you don't have. So that's why you desire it. If you have it, you can no longer desire it because you already have it. So I think that's a nice parallel way of looking at things.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and also Desire and Despair, they're younger siblings, so they're kind of doing what younger siblings do, which is annoy the crap out of their older brothers and sisters.
Yeah, and we have this prodigal who the prodigal.
The prodigal.
Yeah,
which is destruction.
Yeah, which is his name, or the person's the endless name has been dropped, but we'll probably get a fleshed out story in season 2 or even season 3. So.
Knocking on wood.
Knocking on wood. I think
I definitely enjoyed the opening arc the most because at least we had kind of like a plot progression to go through here. He's captured. He needs to escape. He needs to get 1, 2, 3 back to be back at full power. I just as a rule don't really like anthologies where every story is disconnected from the previous one. And Sandman really is very much an anthology with kind of Morpheus as the kind of loose center of it. Because, like, the issues tend to just be about, like, some new person. And then, like, Morpheus is somehow involved. So that's not really to my taste. But I liked how the first arc did have a more clear through line of Morpheus having to get his stuff back. And he encounters a different person who has the object that he needs to get it from. And then, like I said, the death episode in the middle was my favorite. I did not enjoy the final 3 episodes about the Corinthian and Rose Walker. I just was not interested in any of those characters, and the whole thing about a convention of serial killers and pedophiles was just like deeply uncomfortable material that I did not enjoy watching at all. So I did not like that last story at all.
Yeah. Well, first thing, I think we have to give full points for the pun on cereal in the cereal convention.
Yeah, that was funny. That was clever. That was like the one thing I really liked about those 3 episodes.
Well, how else are they going to be able to pass it off?
Yeah.
As a convention in civil society, it's like yeah, it's a cereal convention. Where are the kids? We're not gonna.
Yeah, and I like the first episode. The whole the sorcerer, the human person who captured the Sandman, right? Which is loosely based off of Aleister Crowley, and Crowley's name was dropped during in the dialogue. And Aleister Crowley was a real person who's a bit of a freak, to so to say. And so here again, Neil Gaiman mining real people, either in folklore or in history, and that's really, really interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Mike, you were gonna say something.
Go ahead, Mike.
Was I?
You looked like you were gonna say something, and then Joel stepped all over you.
No, it's okay. No, it's
Sorry.
It's all right. I just I've been kind of trying to study Aboriginals in Australia about the dream time, and they believe that we're in the dream time, and what we go to is actually the reality. And I don't know if Neil Gaiman ever got in touch with that sort of mythology or not as well. I think he kind of brings it later on, but I can't remember.
I know he doesn't bring Aboriginal mythology into like the American gods. He does bring it. He does bring African history in for that. Anansi and then the Anansi boys and all that. So I don't know if he's ever gotten to Australian mythology, but it would be fascinating to see what he would do with that.
And it's something, on a different topic, so to speak. I like the fact that one or a couple of episodes were, taking place in Buffalo, New York, which is only 2 hours away from me, and I have family there. So there you go, Buffalo, New York. Yes, it's made in a major TV series. Yes, go Buffalo. Yeah, Carrie wants none of that.
Yeah, I've just not going to New York anytime soon.
All right.
Now, Mike, I know you didn't see the final 3 episodes yet, but Joel and Carrie, did you guys like those last 3 episodes?
I did. I liked them. I like how they wrap things up. I like because I am a bit of a Hedwig and the Angry Inch fan. I did like the subtle references to Hedwig, and just John Cameron Mitchell's character was very fun. So yeah, that was good.
That's funny you ask, Derek, because they're probably my least favorite of the different episodes. I just, the whole big battle scene is just getting on my nerves. I like it more of the small little contests of wits or contests of wills. I like the dialogue. So I think this series peaked for me about episode 4 through about episode 7. But to each their own, and I only saw the episodes once, so I may go back and watch the end of the series. Just because I'll probably get more from it.
Yeah, I agree. I do like more the subtle sort of battling between the two characters, and it's not over the top fighting or anything. I just like it. It's more, it doesn't get stale that way.
Well, I thought there was a decent balance of both. So you did have the big epic battles, and then you had the mind games and battles of wits and stuff throughout the series. So I like that you pretty much had something for everyone, really.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm a little confused when you guys talk about big epic battles, because I can't think of a single example in what we saw.
That's Vortex. The whole that. Yeah.
But no, there was no actual fighting anywhere.
Yeah, not really. Well,
it's all fighting in the mind.
Yeah, in the mind. I don't suggest that there's an army in the field of battle, so to speak. But it's just in the name Vortex, things are going to come to a head, right? And yeah. The other thing I think this TV series lacked is that they need more characters and actors wearing black clothing. That's, I think, is something that they really fell down.
I just found it fascinating that the way they adapted it, so that because the other DC characters make appearances in the comics and I found myself not missing them, but also interesting how they wrote around the lack of DC characters other than Constantine in the series. That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding is that when this originally started in 1989, it was ostensibly within DC comic books, and that's why actual superheroes show up. But then they quickly shunted. But then they created the Vertigo imprint and kind of made it its own little universe that had nothing to do with DC Comics proper. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think so. Well,
Yeah, it's my
DC
understanding.
Vertigo was an imprint, so yeah, that's where all the more adult.
I'm pretty sure it
Comics
exists
went.
because of the Sandman.
Yeah, I believe it was Janet Kahn who was the publisher that actually fought for that, if I remember correctly. And she had a lot of anger towards her, but she stuck, to her guns and got it passed because we wouldn't have, Hellblazer or Sandman or any of the more alternative books at that time.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Now, normally you might think that I would want it to be in DC comic books and have superheroes and stuff, but I think that this story functions best as its own thing. I don't think this works in a world of Superman and Wonder Woman. So I think it's best that they just excise that for the TV show. And I am glad that they brought a version of John Constantine into it, and especially that they got Jenna Coleman to play her, because I love Jenna Coleman from Doctor Who. So I hope they use her more in future seasons.
Yeah, come on, Derek. You don't want to see Aquaman in this universe?
I don't think Aquaman shows up unless he shows up with the Justice League. But Batman and Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter make cameos.
Oh, great. All right, we should wrap up the show. We've been talking for almost an hour. Any last thoughts? Let's go over to Derek.
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on the show. It was definitely well made. It wasn't, quite my style of things, but I appreciate what it was, and I'm interested in seeing more. I have been reading ahead in the comic book, just kind of skimming it really. So, it's an interesting world and everything. I do still think that Morpheus is a fundamentally uninteresting and unlikable main character, and that's a central flaw. But, it's good for what it is.
You obviously did hang out with the same kinds of people I hung out with in high school.
Well, like I said, I never read this comic book until 2 weeks ago, so I have zero emotional connection to any of this.
Just wait until you go to sleep tonight, okay? Carrie, any last thoughts?
I just thought it was gorgeous and very, very well done. I cannot wait to see how they adapt the rest of the series. And apparently, according to Neil, they want to do the preludes and everything else too. So please give us more. I hate sounding greedy, but please give us more.
Sounds great. And Mike, any last thoughts, sir?
Yeah, since I read the books, I always wanted to see if something they could do about the Sandman, and I'm always a little bit scared that how they treat it, and I've been pleasantly surprised. And I'm interested in if they can rev it up even more, and I think they can. So kudos to them.
Nice. Personally, I just like to say that thank God, this is fiction and not like reality. Is it right? Please say that, right? Okay. If someone shows up at my door like tomorrow, yeah, okay, yeah, I deserve that. Any which way, let's close our doors because we have lives to go to and live. Right? That's right.
We do?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Life is for the living.
Exactly.
This show is available on most podcast platforms and on YouTube. Subscribe today. Yes, I wrote that. For listener engagement and announcements, follow us on Twitter at SciFi Pubcast. And if you wish to contact us directly, our email address is management@scifipubcast.space. We love hearing from our listeners. And on social media, let's see. Let's start with Carrie. Carrie, what's your Twitter address?
My Twitter handle is Carrie Blackfire42. That's KERI Blackfire42.
And what other podcasts are you on?
I am also on Capes Chronicles, DC Talk, and Enter the Dojo over on the Random Chatter Podcast Network.
Great. Definitely check those shows out.
Yeah.
Derek, what's your Twitter address?
I am at Derek J. Beebe, and my website is derekbeebe.com.
Fantastic. And Mike, where can people find you on social media if they want to look for you?
On Instagram, it's at d_artlab. And my website is www.michaelsinkins.com.
Yeah, Mike does a lot of visual art stuff as an artist, so that's his interest. So yeah, definitely give him a follow. And thanks for coming out on the show, man. And this is the second time. I know our mutual friend Vince Journey twisted your arm, and and then ran off to work. But it's always good to talk to you, man. You bring lots of insights to this discussion, and that's why we do this podcast. Is just to have great conversations and discussion, and perhaps learn something.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Yeah. My Twitter address is at Joel, JOEL _Welch, WELCH. It's closing time. Take care. Please make it home safely. We'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Music provided courtesy of Logan Rathbone. Podcast logo by Jea Rhee. Copyrighted Joe Welch. Listen responsibly, and we can't wait for your next visit to our fine establishment. Cheers.